Hello everyone, this is our video on eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are one of the most important types of cells to understand in biology. They make up most of living things that we think about and look at on a daily basis. Some of these things include plants, animals, fungi, and even protists. These cells are complex and have another level of organization which makes them highly specialized. This organization that I'm referring to is the utilization of membrane-bound organelles. This is one of the main things that makes them different in comparison to prokaryotes. Now let's think of our analogy. Imagine a eukaryotic cell as a big box as seen here. The box itself is the outside of the cell, the phospholipid membrane. Don't forget that the membrane is not rigid like a box, and if you need a refresher, be sure to watch our videos that go over the cell membrane. Now back to the analogy. The box is the cell's outer membrane. Inside the box, there are other smaller boxes. Each of these smaller compartments are their own container, made of a lipid membrane just like the cell's outer membrane. Now these smaller boxes contain different things inside of them, just like how the cell's organelles all have a different function. The second main feature of eukaryotes is that they have linear DNA found in the nucleus, as seen here. Eukaryotes have much more genetic material than prokaryotes, and it must be organized in a different fashion. These cells put the DNA in the nucleus to keep it safe, and they also make it linear. Now, let's compare this to prokaryotes for a second. Imagine prokaryotes as a very small box with one strand of DNA. Imagine the DNA is a string, where the string is tied at the ends. This is what is meant when they say that prokaryotic genetic material is circular. It's connected at the ends. Eukaryotic DNA is not like this. Eukaryotes have tons more DNA and they don't connect at the ends, hence the term linear DNA. Think of eukaryotes as if the string is long and bundled up and not tied at the ends. Another thing when comparing this analogy is that eukaryotes are between 2 and 20 times larger than prokaryotes. It's important to imagine eukaryotes as a large box and prokaryotes as a small box. Now, the last important distinguishing factor of eukaryotes is that they can be unicellular or multicellular. Most eukaryotes we think of are multicellular, plants, animals, and fungi. But many people forget the eukaryotes also have the capability of being unicellular, one-celled organisms. These are usually small organisms called protists. This brings us to the endosymbiotic theory. This is the idea that eukaryotes gained membrane-bound organelles by engulfing other prokaryotic cells and developing a symbiotic relationship with them. Don't forget, the symbiotic relationship means that both organisms need one another and benefit in the relationship. Evidence for this theory is seen in mitochondria and chloroplasts. As seen in these diagrams, these organelles contain their own genetic material in the form of circular DNA. Right here, circular DNA in the mitochondria. Right here, circular DNA in chloroplasts. This is important because the only organisms that contain circular DNA are prokaryotes. The idea is that mitochondria and chloroplasts lived on their own at one point in history, but by living inside of a bigger cell, they gained a strategic advantage and developed a symbiotic relationship with it. Another fact supporting this idea is that mitochondria and chloroplasts divide independently of the cell itself in a process called extranuclear inheritance. This means that they copy the DNA they hold inside of them on their own. It is not copied with or at the same time as the DNA held in the nucleus during cell replication. Another cool fact that helps me remember the idea of extranuclear inheritance is that all the mitochondria in you is from your mother. During sexual reproduction, the mitochondria held inside the sperm cells are destroyed. It is possible to inherit mitochondria from your father, but it is not likely. Just another reason to appreciate your mom. And that concludes our video on eukaryotes. Thank you.